I discovered spirituality on a different level because I truly understand energies and how mindfulness plays such an important role in all that we do.
She's an internationally recognized cake designer, a sugar artist who has taken her craft to the global stage, winning the title of Best Tasting Cake in the World. The remarkable Chef Michelle Sohan.
Baking was not part of my passion when I was younger. It happened because of an accident. I went on to open the first female-owned bakery in my country.
You have an incredible relaunch story.
In 2019, I was losing weight drastically. One night, I felt a lump, and within 5 days, I was diagnosed with cancer. I opted for a double mastectomy because
what was going on in your mind?
I realized at that point, I just needed to walk away from it all. And that was to walk away from a lot of things.
What is the next relaunch for you?
Telling my story, first of all, and
Michelle, I'm so excited to get you on the show today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here as well. Finally, it was really nice to connect with you and to be able to share my story. I can't wait to, talk about it, but I'm super excited. And I know everything happens for a reason, so this definitely was the time and the place.
Yeah, and everything does. And we met at Marley and Steve's wedding, Marley Jack, an outstanding, wonderful creativity, like to the max gal. And she did something very disruptive. She ended up selling tickets to her wedding, and you can read all about it. But what you did in getting yourself at that wedding, I thought was just one of the nicest gestures. And before we go into that, before we go into all of the greatness that you're cooking up these days, you have an incredible relaunch story. And we talked about it at the wedding. And I said, I need to put you out there in a bigger fashion. You need to have your story told. So I'd love for you to take us back to your journey of what happened, your relaunches that led you to where you are today with all the awards and accolades.
Oh, definitely. Well, I've been really truly blessed that throughout my journey, I've been able to weather many storms, and I'm always in belief that this one is going to make me stronger. And then another one comes along, and then, okay, how much stronger can I get?
You're Wonder Woman, girl.
But baking was actually not part of my love or passion when I was younger. And it literally happened because of an accident at work. And I was doing my master's in food technology, and we had a cake sale, and my little sister baked the cakes. And when I took it to the university sale, everybody came back and they said, "Oh my God, these taste so good. Do you take orders?" And I said, "Yes." And that is the point I literally actually married myself into the cake industry, into the bakery industry in general. I went on to open the first female owned bakery in my country. And also, over the years, I was just so excited to be one step ahead of everyone else. When I started, everybody came and said, "Oh my God, this little girl isn't going to make it." And I always used that energy to fuel me to be a better version of myself and to create a team that they understood what hard work, what passion, and what the final experience for any customer meant to the whole process of what we did. I really, really, truly was blessed for that. Later on, I started doing a lot of competitions. The very first one I did was in Washington, and it was such a milestone for me because I went into this competition, and there I am preparing in the studio with all these Food Network people that I had seen I used to watch on television. And I am there like this little mouse, like just quietly doing my thing because I'm so intimidated. And then no one was talking to me. They were talking to themselves, and they all knew each other. They all had jokes, and I am there in the corner. We had the competition, and I partnered with someone from the States, and we won. And literally, that was like the opening of the most amazing adventure ever. I just started getting invited to come do stuff. I became an ambassador for Satin Ice fondant. And that was also really remarkable because they considered me the best in the Caribbean.
Mm.
It really just made me feel so, empowered. Eventually, I did so many competitions and so many demos. I signed up for the World Championships, which was in Milan, Italy in 2017. And I entered this on the just focusing on having fun. Nothing else, because I was self-taught and
Mm.
I am going to go up against all these, like well-trained. They have accolades from different schools, culinary schools, all those things that I never had privilege to. And so I went it. We had to ship our cakes. We had to air freight it to Miami and then FedEx it to Italy. We did the competition on the day. We had to prepare an entremet, which was a cake for the judges to try. And I remember so clearly that they came back and they said, your cake was the only plate that was cleared out by the judges. But literally by that point, I was so numb and tired from not sleeping for more than a week preparing. It didn't dawn on me, like even when they called my name at the end of the show, when they were calling all the winners and they said best tasting cake in the world, Michelle Sohan, Trinidad and Tobago. And I was like my coach hit me and said, oh my God, you won. And I was like, who is that?
That is the best story. And when you told me this, you said you literally could not believe it. You were like, yeah,
No.
I mean,
I,
it had never even crossed your mind. Had you at least like when you're making the cake ever said the what if? Did you have anything like that?
No, I was honestly, Hilary, I was just so enjoying being there. For me, it's all about creating that lifetime experience. It's something that you never know if you'll ever do again, which I never will, by the way. But it was just about enjoying each moment. And I think that's been one of my strong points in that I actually can say, like, it stop and say, okay, I am enjoying this moment for what it is.
It's a
And,
beautiful way to live life right there.
and
But I
I,
got to take you back because you raced through the relaunches that could have and would have probably stopped 99% of the people in the world.
oh, yes,
I want I,
definitely.
I want you to go back and give me because you kind of jumped to the end, which is
No,
fantastic.
that was
But
not the end. The end, we still
yeah,
have that part of it. Yeah.
okay, we got to talk about this because this
Sure.
is this is who you are. This is what
I
your
know.
heart is just as big as anyone I've ever met. All right, so take me to those places.
So after that competition, I started, like getting a lot more recognition by chefs and by so many people to come do stuff for them and with them. And in 2018, I ended up winning the Caribbean Wedding Awards Cake and Pastry Artist of the Year. And I had gone to Montego Bay, Jamaica for the awards. I'd taken up my entire bakery staff from Trinidad. I had to book, there was 24 of them. I had to book 24 seats at the window along the plane just because it was the first time they were all traveling and getting on a plane. Wonderful experience. But I knew when we were leaving Jamaica, I looked out the window. I was looking at the clouds and the island just going by. And I said, I am going to return here. So I ended up going back to Trinidad. I told my fiance, I said, look, I'm moving to Jamaica. And it was either you come or you don't come, but I am moving to Jamaica. So in 2019, he said he would come with me and we would look at the place. And so we did several trips, and then we decided, okay, we want to do a full bakery and not just focus on the wedding cakes. We found a place finally in February 2020 where we could have the most amazing state of the art bakery and just enjoy the beauty of the country as well as the thousands and thousands of tourists and everything else. We went back to Trinidad, and of course COVID was happening, so the shutdown ended up. And a couple of months later we realized, okay, this is not just something that's going to blow away, it's long term. So we ended up hiring a project manager and we did the build out of the bakery while we were in Trinidad via WhatsApp videos and Zoom. And he was scheduled to actually finish in September of that year, September 2020. So we said, okay, we'll just apply for an exemption to travel and then come to Jamaica. However, in August, I was losing weight drastically, but I was in such a good place because my bakery was one of the essential services and we were selling so much, and I kept thinking, "Oh my god, I'm going to be able to get this money to buy this piece of equipment." And then one night I actually was at home because we had a curfew, and my skin was excessively dry, and I was on a computer planning the next day, and I saw a little bit of cream just here on my chest. And as I rubbed the cream in, I felt a lump. And at the time, it wasn't hurting. So,
Mhm.
like I felt again. I didn't say anything to my fiance. I just rubbed in the cream. It was late, so I said, I'm not going to disturb my sisters. Both my sisters are doctors. One
Oh,
was actually trapped in Florida before the airport closed. So she was still in Florida with her kids. And my younger sister was actually in the COVID designated hospital. And she was having a hard time because there was so much death and so much suffering. So I just decided I wasn't going to tell anybody anything till the morning. I messaged her. I said, Lynn, Lynn, I just felt this lump. It doesn't hurt. I don't think it's anything serious. And she said, okay, I'll come by later and check you in the bakery. And then when she looked at it, she immediately picked up the phone. The next day we had a mammogram scheduled. Still didn't tell anybody else because I am thinking it's nothing, it's not hurting. And then we did the mammogram, it didn't pick it up. Then they scheduled an ultrasound the next day. And when we did the ultrasound, the doctor said, this looks serious. And that is when we picked up the phone. We called my biggest sister in the States. And then I told my fiance. And within
that's
three,
crazy. But wait a second, that's crazy that the mammogram did not pick it up, but the ultrasound did.
yeah,
And it was your sister and doctor who said, "Hey, let's do one more test," and didn't
yes,
just let it go.
exactly.
Mm.
So it could have just easily been overlooked with the mammogram, and then it would have been a whole other story I had to tell. So within 5 days, I got diagnosed. I did a biopsy right after the ultrasound, and within 5 days, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I tell you, it was it. I remember a moment when we were going to church. So my two sisters were arguing. The one in Florida is saying, "Get her here, let her get the best," and the one in Trinidad is saying, "No, let's get this done urgently." So eventually, my bigger sister won, and we chartered a flight and went to the States. At the time, Moffitt Cancer Research was the number one for breast cancer.
Mhm.
And we went up. Because it was COVID, nobody was allowed in, so they just dropped me out at the front door.
Oh, how scary.
It really was. And yeah, I called them on WhatsApp because I wasn't understanding the medical jargon, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I am a cake girl. I don't know anything about all these, complicated medical stuff. Eventually, though, the doctors did give me all the options, and they did confirm that the tests that were done in Trinidad were accurate. I was diagnosed with stage 2 cancer, and because I was international, they scheduled within 2 weeks. I had surgery scheduled, so I opted for a double mastectomy because I just didn't want to live life trying to figure out where what this could be, and it was all my decision, but it's one that I don't
It's a big
regret.
decision. That's a
Yeah,
big decision.
it definitely was, and of course, it took a lot of time to come to terms with the changes and everything else. But I'll tell you, I wouldn't change a single decision at all. I
But
feel
your
so
your
blessed.
journey your journey didn't stop there.
And it
The
didn't
the
stop
relaunch,
there.
we got to
So,
keep going because there's so many, and I want to try to get them all in this show. So,
so,
unfortunately, we're going to be racing through like the next 4 or 5 of them,
so,
but let's do it.
so at the time they removed some of the nodes under my arm to see if the cancer had spread, which it didn't.
Thank
And
God.
I didn't even understand what was the implications of that. I just knew they needed to do it. I honestly didn't know how serious it was. And so for almost 4 months, I didn't have the use of this hand, and it was so crucial because I am a cake decorator. I'm right-handed. I need my hand, right? So we went back to Trinidad in January 2021. I started therapy, and I got this hand back up. And we were supposed to, every 6 months, I'm supposed to go back to Moffitt to do a checkup as for the first 5 years. So We were scheduled to go in May, and then in April, we had just left home. We live in a residential area. We were literally rolling on the road, and a car comes speeding around the corner, loses control, and crashes into us. And I had on my seatbelt. I broke this collarbone, and I immediately lost use of this hand. So
I love that you're laughing about this because I mean, and everyone listening, it doesn't stop here. This is like,
yeah, so it's like, so in the Caribbean we have, like when you're accident prone, there is this saying that people say you need a bush bath to go wash out all that bad energies. So I would have probably needed quite a few bush baths in my time, but every step back or every negative thing had something really wonderful to show me. And for
that's the
me,
whole, can I tell you something, Michelle? That's the whole premise of relaunch.
yes,
You know, and again, I've now almost we're going to be up to 300 by year end here of these episodes, and whether I ask on air or off, if you could go back and change it, would you? Not one
never,
person so far, not one.
never,
And
no.
keep going with this journey because now a car has just hit you. You've just gotten through double mastectomy, and now what?
So I couldn't travel again. Obviously, I couldn't go back to do the checkup. So I had to get back into therapy with this hand. And by December that year, we just said, look, you know what? I'm good enough to travel now. I'm going to do my checkup and I'm going straight to Jamaica. And we reached Jamaica in January 2022. It was amazing to actually physically walk into the store that was more or less just pictures and videos, and it was the reality. Amazing dream come true. And for me, it was more so, I now realized there were so many setbacks there as well, because now the whole hotel industry was so pumping with travel being back up, we could not get proper workers. And we did so much and we impacted so much that the brand was just like everywhere, but we couldn't make the demands of what was going on because it was just us. And eventually, what ended up happening is we had so many orders, we were only opening 1 day a week just to be able to do all the orders that we had. And later on in 2023, in October, I did a checkup again at Moffitt, and my stress levels were really high. And then there was something really, this really was one of the heartbreaking points in my entire life where my mom had called and said, "When are you coming home? I miss you." And I told her, "Well, mommy, I'm coming home for Christmas." And the very next morning, my sister calls me and asks me where I am. And I said, "Well, I was now getting ready to go to work." And she says, "Well, mommy just passed."
Oh, mm, mm.
And, that really, really was I was so numb. And there was just like, you wish last time I saw her, I would have gotten extra hugs. And, it was really something really, really crazy to deal with. I had to fly home just for the funeral because I had committed here for a 2 week catering that it was only me. So I had to come back and do it. And I did it. It was amazing. And then I couldn't walk afterwards. I was so exhausted. I had so much sciatic problems. And then my fiance just looked at me and he goes, "Was it worth it?" And I think that's what really just, bam, like hit me, just knocked me off. This Christmas time, we were supposed to go back to Trinidad. I told him, "You go back, but spend time with your family. I really want to be alone."
Wait, before we go on, was it really worth it? And you said that's what was going on in your mind? Because I talk about my I'm done moment where it's just like I'm done. Like I'm tapped out. I can't do anything more.
Well, I sat down and I really just started meditating. And, I
Mm.
tried to get back into connection with my higher self and just say, like, where am I and what am I doing right now and what is bringing me any peace? And I realized at that point, I just needed to walk away from it all. I really just needed,
I
I
want
did
everyone to hear that. You got it. Sometimes just walk away from it all.
just
Just
walk
stop.
away from it all. And, I say that And that statement was to walk away from a lot of things.
Mm.
In January, we closed. We told the landlord we were not going to renew the lease. We were going to close in February. We eventually closed the bakery, and then in August, my fiance and I, we had reached a point of so much arguments and just so much anger from all those things that were falling apart around us that we decided to take a break.
Mm.
And walking away from everything to this day has been the most exhilarating experience, to wake up and not have to worry about how my actions affect anyone else, or just know that I am in control of me.
Hmm.
I have fallen so in love with me. I mean,
Ah,
I've,
I love that. I have fallen so in love with me. Yeah. Yes.
and I'm in such a zen space right now. I'm so overly protective of my energies and my peace, and not having anyone around that just is going to disrupt it. To make decisions that make me happy, and just go with it. Going to Idaho was one of those crazy
Let's
decisions,
talk. I want
right?
to talk about that because I want to share something. The first time I met you, everyone, you know, a person that when you go into a room and you see them, they just light up the room. They light up the room. And Michelle, when I met you, you do love yourself and it just radiates out, and that's the way it should be. Everyone thinks we got to make everything perfect on the outside, and then you'll find that radiance. No, you did it. You did it. You have it. So we ended up at this disruptive, crazy type of wedding that Marley and Steve did. And somehow, and I want you to share the story, you ended up bringing the cake that was I mean, I got to say, it was the fluffiest. It melted in your mouth. There were these little like pouches of what was it? Like a,
Passion fruit jellies.
oh, you guys, you put it in your mouth. It exploded. It was like, what is happening? It's so good. But tell us how that came to be, because that's such a great story.
So, last year when I was trying to figure out what do I want to do, what will make me happy, I was on Instagram like everyone else, and looking at all these things that would appear on your screen, and one thing led to another, led me to Mali. So I had messaged her at one point, and I said, "Do you think, what you're talking about will work for me? I'm a cake person. Is this just for business, or will this work?" And she did message, and she said, "Yes, definitely, we can do this." But I honestly, at the time, was still recovering emotionally from so much that I had closed off on, and I just could not pursue anything. But I was still
So hold on.
following her.
I want to make sure people understand this that don't know who Marley is, who don't understand this.
Ah,
You were thinking about, hey, how can I create my business but online? And they call these things funnels, like how you go
yes, that's
through
correct.
from a lead to a sale, everyone. That's what we're talking about
Exactly.
here. So she was
Yes.
asking Marley, would it work in the cake business? And Marley said, of course it would. So there's a little connection here. Okay. And
Yes,
then what
there
happened?
was, and she did reply, and it wasn't just like an AI generated reply. It was an original from Mali to me reply, right? And so it was like in the back of my mind, because I said to myself at that point in time, I really want to still continue doing what I love, but now I want to do it on my own without having to depend on anyone and make anyone feel like I am imposing my dream and my passion on them. So in January, I literally just, looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Okay, are you done now? You did the anger, you did the depression, you did the crying. What do you want to do?" I mean, because we have a new year, new beginnings. And so I really decided that I was going to teach. It's something that I really love. Maybe it's inherent because both my parents are retired teachers
Hmm.
for over 40 something years. Probably I got that genes in me. So I said, "You have so much knowledge. Physically, I can't do the work anymore." I actually never did the surgery for the broken collarbone, by the way. I am still believing it is going to fuse on its own and I'm going to receive that miracle one way or the other. So I sent out quite a few proposals to come out some of the hotels here, and immediately I started getting back replies. It was like, whoa, it's like just you put it out there, it came back in, and so I did one first, finished it, and then while I was doing that one, another hotel had said, could you send us your resume? And literally sent my resume one evening. Next day they asked me for to come in and speak to the general manager. And by weekend, the human resource manager calls me and says, I sent you an email, but I didn't see a reply. So I said, well, I was outside with my plants, gardening. And then she says, when I look at the email, she says, how soon can you start? So I literally started a consult in April, on April the 14th, for 2 weeks. Before the 2 weeks was up, they said they wanted to extend another 2 weeks. We did a 2 weeks again. Then they wanted another 2 weeks. And I go to the operations manager. I said, listen, how long do y'all really need me here for? Because, I kept postponing my trip to Miami and a couple other things. And he says, well, how long could you stay?
Oh, that's so great.
So they did offer me a position that I was not looking for, but it was something that I took almost a month before I accepted. I said, why not? Let me give it a try. So I am now in a new role as an executive pastry chef and totally loving it because I get to form a team of young minds and bring them up into that such level of professionalism and skill development that I could enhance their lives. Um, so during that time, I have
Wait. What hotel are you
oh, it's
doing?
Princess Hotel, Princess.
Princess Hotel. And where
It
is
is
it?
absolutely beautiful. It's in Green Island in Jamaica. We have actually two hotels in one. We have an adult side and then we have the family side. And I get to do all the desserts and the breads for everyone, as well as nine really, really beautiful a la carte restaurants that open in the nighttime, from a steakhouse to Mexican to Italian. And I design the desserts for everyone,
Oh,
everything
and listen
individual.
to how you're lighting up right now about this. It is so great. So
So,
now, okay, but now we got to get back to how did I end up
Marley,
seeing
right.
you at the wedding?
Right. So this is the whole thing about it. So I was actually supposed to go and do my checkup in April, but they kept extending my stay here for the training. So when I did eventually accept the job, um, I told him, I said, listen, I need a month off because I need to go do my checkup and I have other things to do, right? And literally, Molly Jocks messages me on a Saturday, DMs me on Instagram and says, hey, can you come? Can you still come? Is your offer still available? Can you still come and do my cake? And oh
So
my
great.
God, it was like, if I had taken the trip in April, I would not have been going in July. I would not have been able to do it. So everything really just falls into place. And as she said that, so I didn't see the message until like 4 days later. And when I saw it, it's like I immediately messaged her, yes, but we need to get on a call because I need details, right? And automatically the old competition brain opened up and it was like a totally different high that I was experiencing just to say, how am I going to make this cake a wow? And how am I, for the first time, going to travel by myself to do this cake? Because I really did before COVID, I really started doing destination wedding cakes because I understood the process of how to travel with cakes with all those competitions, right? But this was going to be the first one that I wasn't going to have my fiance. It was just going to be me and my broken collarbone and, all the weights that I would have to travel with through the airport. But girl, it was like such an amazing adventure.
Mm.
We had our discussion. She was not fussy. And then I gave her some suggestions and she says like, wow, yeah, that sounds amazing. And so then it was literally just to design this, which I did a sketch. I never showed her anything at all. I think Kristen was the first one when we met at the
Yeah.
Airbnb to see the sketch.
Kristen's our
Uh,
producer. Uh-huh.
oh, yes. And it was just amazing to just bring everything
Yeah,
together. It was
you
such
did.
an
You
adventure.
did such a great job. And then
And
everything got
everybody,
highlighted in People magazine. And
oh
so I
wow,
gotta
yes.
ask you this. Now that you've done that again, now that like you're back in the spotlight, are you thinking that there might be more competitions in the future? Are you thinking TV show in the future? What is the next relaunch for you?
For me, it would be to actually be on, like on different, telling my story first of all, and empowering other women, because I feel like for us, we want to be the strong people, and we want to always have that front that we have everything under control. And some people, sometimes, a lot of times, people forget that we actually have issues ourselves. Like I would have had people say, but you're always smiling when you post all your pictures and your videos and stuff. You'd never think you're going through all of that. And I'll tell you something, Hilary. When I was diagnosed with cancer, we never told my parents.
Hmm,
My two sisters and my fiance and I decided, okay, they were old. They were. My dad had a nurse 24 hours. There was literally nothing they could do other than worry,
right.
and we just decided we would handle it ourselves. And my mom passed never knowing that I had cancer.
Hmm.
You
What
know,
a
this is the
woman you
first time.
are. Hmm.
This is the first time I am actually saying it out loud for anyone to know. I have shared my story one on one with people who needed it. Even when I moved here to Jamaica, when we opened the bakery, everybody was so amazed with what we had created and wanted to talk and hear why we came. And quite a few people I had actually told about my cancer journey. And one young lady in particular, I had told her, she said she was always so busy, she never going to do her test. I said, please do, and please do an ultrasound. And I can pull up a WhatsApp message. Many months later, she messaged me to tell me, I have something to tell you. Because of you, I did the ultrasound and I did have breast cancer.
And this is why when we were talking and you said, you haven't shared, it's like, I mean, how do we get this out to everyone that, like you had a mammogram came back and it was, negative, you're fine.
It never showed. It showed nothing at all.
But yet sometimes we have to carry forward. It's like, well, then what is it? Why do I
Yeah,
have, you got to be your own advocate. And that's what you had your sister, you had the doctor. And, as you said, it would have been a different story that we're talking about right now. But again,
definitely.
and we've talked so many times where the relaunches come at you. It's like the weeble wobble and you get knocked down, you get back up again and you just you kind of go with it. I do want to ask you, in those really dark days, and you had many of them, you said meditation. Has there been anything else? Do you have like a gratitude practice?
Oh
What
yeah.
else do you do? Share with us that as we
So
wrap
I'll
up.
tell you, going through the cancer journey, going through cancer, that period was actually one of my happiest moments, times in my life, because I actually discovered spirituality on a different level. I understood what being quiet was, just being able to appreciate the smallest things in life. I started following like Wayne Dyer and so many different people. And to this day, I would be driving and looking at all the trees, and I will remember Wayne saying, everything has life, even the tree has treeness, right?
Mhm.
And these are the things that really, like, I go home, I hug my plants. Actually, one of my plants have so many lipstick kisses on it, right? Just because, because I really, really, truly understand what energies and life is, and how mindfulness plays such an important role in all that we do. It's so important for us to understand every action affects so many people, but we are still in control of what we allow in our space.
Oh, what a beautiful,
And
beautiful
that has
way.
been, if I did not have, something as serious as the cancer to make me stop, because up until that point I worked 7 days a week, I traveled, I enjoyed it. You ask me anything, that what do you love, Michelle, and it would always be one thing: cakes. My mind never stopped designing, I would look at somebody's handbag, I would look at a dress, I would look at a pattern, and I'm always just figuring out how can I convert that into cake.
That's
And
funny. I
that
got to
was the
say, that's a
moment.
really funny statement because my cake with my amazing husband was designed off of a Valentino handbag. I mean, it is like a big rose. And
Nice.
that's what I had. But now, as we're wrapping up, where can people find you? How can they get into your cake world?
Well, I'm currently on Instagram at Weddings by Treats. That's weddings with a S and treats with a Z. I do intend to create a new page as my new journey as an executive pastry chef and highlight some of the exciting things that go on right now. But at the end of the day, DM me and we can connect by WhatsApp. And I'm always ready to jump on that plane and head down somewhere with some fancy cake.
Michelle, you're the best. Thank you so much for sharing for the first time ever your journey and what a journey it has been. And thank you for also bringing that light to everyone who's been listening to really realize that you don't have to be put into a position like Michelle's. You have to just take a moment and pause. Take a moment and
Definitely.
stop getting so wound up. Stop with all the stress, the overwhelm, and just pause for a moment. We got so much greatness that's around us. And yeah, there are relaunches. We get it. We get it. Michelle and I, we're raising our hand. We understand. But we also know that you decide your ending. You decide how you want it to play out. Michelle, thank you again. What a
Thank you so much, Hilary. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward for when we meet up
me
again.
too.
And all the best to you. And I hope that my story will inspire others as
I
well.
have no doubt it will. So again, everyone, live now, love now, and relaunch now. Until next time. Bye bye.